Hello there, beautiful people. Welcome and welcome back again to the channel. If it's your first time seeing my face, my name is Winko and you're most definitely welcome. Now, in today's video, I'm going to be comparing a junior doctor's payslip with a consultant's payslip. If you don't know, I'm a medical doctor and I currently work in one of the NHS trusts. And ever since I moved to the UK, I've been working in the A&E department. So for the purpose of this video, I am comparing an A&E payslip of a junior doctor and SHO with an A&E payslip of a consultant still in the department. I know that that's very interesting because I've always wondered what the pay discrepancy was, especially coming from abroad. You don't have this type of information like readily available. I know that the gross numbers are available on the internet, but what it translates to in terms of how much you're going to take home, many people don't know, and that's why I decided to do this video. So I hope you find it helpful and I hope it answers your questions. Now, just a little backstory about why I'm deciding to film this video. Since basically about February or March this year, junior doctors have gone on strike every single month in England, clamoring for pay restoration and an increase in salary, basically, because over the past couple of years, inflation has really happened and junior doctors haven't experienced any pay rise, and now the purchasing power is so much lower, which is why we have been going on this series of strike, which has been organized by the British Medical Association. Similarly, in July of this year, consultants also went on strike, asking for a pay rise as well, because again, there's an inflation and there's a cost of living crisis in the UK, and people feel like they aren't getting the same value that they would have been getting about 10 years ago because there hasn't been any significant pay rise. So to put things in perspective, I've decided to compare a junior doctor salary, which is an SHO salary, with a consultant salary still in the department, so that after many years of training, then you know what you can expect to take home, basically. I have already made a video talking about what I earn as a junior doctor working in the UK. I made that video at about this time last year. So if you want to see that video, you can definitely check it out. It's somewhere in my channel, and I'm going to link it up in the description, up in the cards as well, and leave it down in the description box as well. So I'm going to start with the junior doctor salary, but before I start, please don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and all that good stuff. I would definitely love to have you over here, so please turn on your notification button so that you would be notified every single time I post a video, and we can build a community that loves to share good stuff. Okay, so let's jump right into the video. I'm going to start with the junior doctor's payslip, and then I'm going to take you to what the consultant's payslip is so that you can see that. So on the payslip, I'm going to blur out some few pieces of information that I believe are personal and are not like necessary to the scope of this video. So assignment number, employee name and location, that's been blurred out. The department, ED medical staff. ED here stands for emergency department. Job title, trust doctor. Trust doctor basically means that you are employed by the trust for service provision. So again, you can see pay scale description, which says foundation house officer 2, and then you can see the salary or wage, which is 35,757, and the date that the employment began, the hours, which is your contractual hours, which you can see here to be 40 hours, the tax office name, tax office code, tax office reference, and national insurance number. Now that we've set all of that out of the way, let's get into the nitty-gritty of this payslip. So the first thing we're going to be looking at is the basic pay. As a junior doctor or SHO working in the ED, what you are going to be paid is £17.14 per hour, and you can see that you're working an average of 173.81 hours, which takes your payment to £2,979.75 for £173.81 at £17.14 per hour. London zone basically is an allowance that is given to people who work in London just to combat the cost of living crisis in London, because London is significantly more expensive than other parts of the UK. So for London zone, we are being paid a whopping sum of £1.0366 for every 173.81 hours that you work, which takes your London allowance to 180.17 pence. Is that enough to combat the cost of living differences between living in London and other parts of the UK? I don't think so, but that's what we're being paid. Now, band 1A allowance is basically a payment that is given to people who work in A&E and other stressful departments like surgery. If you're working in a less stressful department, you're not going to get a banding. But for band 1A, it's basically half of whatever your basic salary is. So basic salary here is 35,757. Band 1A would be half of that, 50% banding, and that it takes it to a rate of 8.5719. And for the total 173.81 hours that you worked, it takes that to a total of 1,489.87. So let's talk deductions, because in the UK, obviously, you pay taxes and some other deductions like national insurance, pension. If you have student loan debt, then the student loan would be deducted and stuff like that. For payee, which is basically pay as you earn, the junior doctor / SHO was taxed at 694.47, and then for national insurance, the junior doctor pays 460.96, and for NHS pension, it's 9.3 of your salary, and we pay 293.87. So for this total period, the total earnings was 4,355.92, and the total deductions that were made in terms of taxes, national insurance, and NHS pension contribution was 1,449.30. That then takes the total pay to £3,200.49. So that is how much an SHO earns for working in an A&E department. I've been so curious about what consultants earn, so I spoke to one of my senior colleagues and discussed this video idea with him, and he was super helpful with sharing his payslip with me, as well as explaining what the payslip looks like, because the payslip is slightly different for consultants than junior doctors. It's not broken up the same way that the junior doctor's payslip is broken up, except for the first part, which is basically the assignment number, employee name, location, department, job title, pay scale. That part's pretty similar, but you can see that for salary and wages, after the consultant has worked, so the pay slip that I compared is an F2 pay slip, which is basically somebody in their second year after graduation from medical school, and a consultant then would do an F1 and F2, and then if they get into training immediately, they would do A&E training, which is 5 or 6 years, depending on the person and depending on if the person takes any breaks, depending on if the person passes all their exams at once. Those are the variables, but I'm going to say that it's about 5 to 6 years for training to be an ED consultant. Now, after that, then you go ahead to do fellowship and other super specializations if you want. But for this consultant's payslip, what he earns is £96,665 in terms of the salary and wages. And for the standard hours there, you can see that it says 10. Now, what does 10 mean? 10 doesn't mean that the consultant only works 10 hours a week. What it means is the consultant works 10 PAs. Okay? 10 PAs basically is 10 PAs per week. 1 PA during weekdays and in the mornings is equivalent to 4 hours, and at night time is equivalent to 3 hours. So If the consultant wants to work 2 PAs in one day, that would be 8 hours. If the consultant wants to work night shift, 1 PA is 3 hours. 3 PAs would be 9 hours. I don't know if that makes sense to you. So for this consultant, he was paid at the rate of £185 3851 pence for every 43.45 PAs that he did in that month. That took the grand total to £8,055.42 for the 43.45 PAs that the consultant did that month. Next up, we've got course expenditure. That one's probably a refund for a course that the consultant did, which was £683.82. We have something called study budget in the UK. So for example, if you do an ALS course or you do an ATLS course, if your study budget for that period is £500 and you do an ALS or an ATLS course that costs £500 and then you file for it back, it will be returned to you and you can claim it back basically. So that's what this consultant has done on his payslip, and it was £683.82. For London fringe banding, which is basically what I spoke to you guys about earlier, this consultant was paid at the rate of 0.28 for every 43.45 PAs that he did, which took the amount to 12.42. Now there's an additional program ANP, which basically is 1 PA for this consultant. So it's basically things like an additional teaching or an additional role that the consultant has taken up. So which could be in terms of like non-clinical jobs that the consultant has decided that he wanted to take up, or supervising junior doctors that the consultant has decided that he wanted to take up, but an additional program that consultant has done, which was paid at the rate of £805.5417. £805.5417 pence for that 1 PA, and that was a grand total of £805.54. There's the on-call Cat A low fringe, and that was paid at the rate of £3, so it took the total to £241.66. Now for the part that we all love, taxes and deductions. For payee taxes, he paid a grand total of £2,767.27. For national insurance, he paid a grand total of £426.05. For NHS pensions, he paid a grand total of £1,121.78 at 13.5% pension. So his taxable pay for the period was £7,993.26. Non-taxable pay, which was the refund for the course I spoke about, was £683.82. So the total payments that were made for this period was £9,798.86, and then the total deductions was £4,315.10. So for this month, the consultant took home a grand total of £5,483.76. This is including the non-taxable pay of £683.82, and that takes the grand total to £4,799.94. That is how much a consultant working in the UK takes home after training to become a consultant for a couple years. Now, was this more than you thought it was going to be? Was it less than you thought it was going to be? Let me know down in the description box. But I've always been very curious. That's why I did this comparison, so that you could know what it was. I hope you found this video helpful. I hope this put things into perspective as to why consultants are going on strike. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section. I decided to do this payslip without any locums, which was just to be able to show you what the basic salary is if you don't do any locums, overtime, none of that, just the basic salary. So if you work just your contractual hours, how much you're going to take home. Obviously, if you want your salary to go up, you can definitely pick up some extra shifts at work. So fill in the gap rotas, do stuff like that, and you can earn some money. I don't typically do lots of locum shifts, so I don't know, because I'd rather prioritize resting. That just depends on what works for you. But Obviously, picking up extra shifts means that you're using your free time to work, but again, it's a great way to boost your income if you are looking to boost your income. Anyways, guys, that is it for this video. Please don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and all that good stuff, and I will catch you guys in my next video. Bye, guys.